Okay, this will be the first of several short videos I'll do on the Yamaha Clavinova. When powering up the Clavinova, it defaults to two things: tempo setting of 120 and the grand piano sound. As far as the sounds go, we have basically 5 sounds: piano, electric piano, harpsichord, strings, and pipe organ. Every sound you have, you could hit the variation button. This is the grand piano, variation button, and you get a slightly different sound. It's different on, like, say, electric piano, and then variation, and so on. A variation in every one of these sounds. So basically 5 basic sounds with a variation gives you 10 different types of sounds. Second to that, something that affects sounds is the reverb setting. When you turn it on, there's also a default setting of hall. Hall gives you that after effect. You can hear it's probably something you'll hear better live than you will on this video. Hall 2 is going to be a bigger hall. Stage will be a little shorter. And if we hit it again, you have no lights. That means no reverb. I usually like something, at least room for one, and often I use the hall one. Okay, part 2. We have a touch button here that defaults to medium, which seems to be, I think it's probably the best choice. But if you have a soft touch, you want to hit the touch button down to soft. You won't have to play with as much strength to get as fuller sound. Opposite of that is if you have someone playing who is a very rough player, very hard touch, we put hard on, and it's much more muted. So when they're pushing a lot harder, they're getting the same effect as other people with a soft touch. And again, I usually leave it on medium. That's what it defaults to, but you may enjoy using the soft. If you touch it and all the lights go out after soft, then there is no touch response at all. It's just full volume, no matter how soft or hard you're hitting the keys, which is kind of unrealistic for piano. So medium seems to work best for that. Part 3, another important part is the metronome. The metronome, as I mentioned before, defaults to the number 120. To start it, all we do is hit the metronome button. Our tempo up and down is here. It does go down as low as 30 something, which is kind of ridiculous. Most of the time we're at least about 40 or 50 in the 50s for starting, and on the low end, and then the high end it will go up over 200, which is higher than you probably would need it. I think it goes all the way to 280 or something. Okay, to get it back to 120, a quick way is to hit the double buttons, the up and down arrow on the tempo at the same time. That's handy because if you're working on a song, let's say you're working on something and the tempo is, say, 69. Okay, now the next song I need to work on is going to be 100. Well, I'm going to hit the double buttons together. It'll pull me all the way to 120. I can just back down to 100. It's just a little quicker way of getting there. So that's the metronome. The transpose. You can transpose the key you're playing in. If you hold the transpose button down, you'll get a 0 that comes up in the window. You next want to hit the down arrow, select on song select, and you'll get a -1. That's taking our key down a half step. Now if you reach over and turn that off, you'll be back to regular key. So you can go down several half steps and up several half steps by hitting and holding transpose, and then again reaching over here using the plus and minus or up and down arrows on the song select buttons to take you down in half steps. The recorder. The recorder is like a 2-track recorder in which you can record your performance and play it back for your own reference. To get it going, you would simply hit the record button, and you can see that the red light came on track 1. If I let go of that and get yourself ready, right before you start to play, hit the start button, and you begin to play. I'm done, I'm going to hit stop. You can see the red turn green. Now if I hit play, or start rather, it'll play it back. Now you could really actually put a song in there if you wanted to record a whole song, and then if you turn that off and hit record and then hit the 2, it won't erase that, it'll put a different song in song number 2. So I'm going to hit start and give another example here. So now I'll hit stop. Now you don't want them to play at the same time because they're two different songs. I'm going to turn one off, hit start. And then if I turn off 2 and put 1 on, you'll hear that the other one I did is still there. Another thing regarding the recorder, the number 1 and number 2 tracks could be used not for different songs, but for different parts of a song, meaning like a left hand and a right hand part. If I hit record 1, I'm going to record the left hand part of a song here. And by the way, I mentioned in the last video that you'd hit the start stop to begin recording. It's actually sitting in a pause mode, so you actually don't even need to hit that button. As soon as you start playing, it'll begin recording. So I'll begin this part. Okay, then hit stop. Then you would want to hit record and make sure that the red is on the 2 and the 1 is on green. 1 green means it's going to play back, 2 means it's going to record. I let go of the record button, and again it'll begin the record as soon as I touch the first key. Okay, after stopping it, I can hit play and it'll play it back. I can play the left hand by itself and play the right hand against the left hand, or vice versa. I have the right hand play and I can play the left hand against it. Okay, that's the song recorder section. In the last couple of videos here, I'm going to talk about the songs that are built into the Clavinova. First, we have the demo button. When you hit the demo button, you're going to see lights start flashing over here. And all you need to do to get it going is just hit any button and it'll start playing a demo. Now, it'll run through several songs demonstrating all the different sounds. And when it's done, it just like starts over again. So the only way to turn it off is just to reach over and hit the button itself and it'll turn it off again. Now another thing about it is if you hit the button and it starts playing that demo, it's flashing what sound it's demonstrating. Let's say you want to hear what the demonstration would be on the harpsichord. You could hit it right in the middle and it switches to the harpsichord. Or say the pipe organ. And again, to stop, we would hit the demo button. In the last couple of videos, we're going to talk about probably one of the more fun things of the Clavinova is the book that comes along with it here that says 50 Great Songs for the Clavinova. There actually are 50 songs built into the Clavinova. You notice there is a button there that says piano song. Okay, to get it going, you would hit that button, and then you do get a number 1 in there, meaning song number 1. To hear it, you would simply hit the start key here. Playing a Bach prelude, so it would play through the entire song and stop. That song is the first song in this book. If I can flip to it here. Now, unfortunately, they didn't list the song numbers, but they listed in the table of contents all the songs with the page numbers, and then I had jotted the song numbers to the left of the title, so if you're looking for a particular song, you can jump to it. Such as, let's say, Green Sleeves, which is 47. I'd hit the stop and move my way up. You got to hit the song up button to 47, and then hit the start key. Okay, another thing about the built-in songs you may like to know is that when we push the button, we already talked about how you can move up and down the song button here to get to the different songs. But if you go to 1 and push down one more, you see it says all. The nice thing about that is that when you start playing the songs back, it'll run through all 50 songs. It's going to take some time. I actually don't remember. It might be about a good hour or so. Could make some nice background music if you're having people over or something. I do recommend that you have the volume set fairly low because it can get quite loud. And then if you're in the middle of the sequence of songs and you need to stop, you just hit the stop button. I would recommend that before reaching over and powering off the Clavinova. Two other things about the Clavinova when they deliver it. Below the pedal, you might notice there is something sticking down there, a little black thing. That's a knob that's adjustable. It's something you want to adjust. It'll be adjusted up a little bit so it's not dragging on the floor when you move it. But once you have the piano in place, you want to lower it so it touches the floor. It just gives the base of the piano more support, because if you think about how you use that pedal, you're pushing down a lot on the pedal, and having that knob lowered to meet the floor will give it a little extra support. I don't know if your Clavinova is going on carpeting or hardwood floors, but being carpet in here, I had added some sliders underneath the legs of the piano. There's 4 of them, 2 on each leg. That just makes it easy to slide it in and out if I needed to get to connections on the back end. That could be all right. It could be fine on carpeting. If it's on a floor and it starts moving on you, those would probably need to be removed. But most likely it should be fine. Well, this concludes the videos on basic features on the Clavinova. I will also include the manual that came with it. And finally, I will record a couple of short examples for you, so when you get it, you could turn on the button number 1 and hit play, and you'll hear a song I'll record in there for you, as well as 2 will be a different song. And they'll be in there for as long as you leave them in there, and no worries if you wish to experiment recording, as we mentioned in earlier videos. Okay, enjoy.